Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla, and I'm presenting to you a very somber episode of Car Rides Wit SLA because we're living in crazy times now, apparently. Apparently, we are living in incredibly crazy times. Now, first of all, straight out the gate, I am using the new iPhone 16 Pro Max to record this episode. And I also think that I do have the microphone situation figured out. So the mic may actually be in use for this episode. I listened to the recording of it from last time, and it seems to be okay. There were no hitches or anything. So I do think it was just that Rode recording app. I don't know. It just would cut out or not detect that anything was plugged in. I thought something was faulty with the interface or the microphone, but no, I do think my original assertion that, I wonder if that's even a word. Is assertion different from assertion, or is it something that I or somebody else made up as just a incorrect way to pronounce it or something? I don't really know. But yeah. So it looks to be good. It looks like the last recording, I had the gain kind of high. It seems very loud. So I'm trying to experiment with lowering the input gain pretty low, and hopefully that will kind of solve that problem. I think there wasn't a lot of clipping, but there was definitely some. I'm still kind of wondering about this mic because, as I said, maybe it's possible in another recording app or something to go into the negative, but at a hardware level for Rode's interface, you can't do that. It's just plus 12 or plus 24 of a range, and anywhere in between. But I would really need a negative 6 dB or a negative 12 dB, honestly, because in any of these apps, even Rode's own app, I have to put the mic input basically at 0. It just seems so loud. I don't know if it's the fact that the interface is amplifying it a lot, and maybe some people just plug it straight in. Not entirely sure. But either way, I guess it should be a pretty good signal. There was some background noise, but not really in comparison to my voice. I thought the recording sounded pretty great. So again, we're just going to experiment with this time, and hopefully now this will be, the first fully properly recorded episode. And either way, it should be, at least temporarily, because I'm going to get into the issues of what happened with the whole phone craziness. So, the phone did arrive, and I set it up to get ready to activate it. And I went through the activation process. Everything kind of seemed normal. It was all away activating, right? Normal things that you would expect. The buffering, the loading of the activation process. And then, right at the end, it said that it failed and it couldn't get activated. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, right? Well, then I go look at my actual phone, and that one no longer has service. Okay, so, what's going on? I just thought maybe it was some kind of weird glitch or something, but no, evidently it turns out that I just have no data and no number using abilities right now. I don't really understand what happened, but I have no number. Basically, the eSIM is still active in the phone. and the number is still there. It's active. It's just my carrier is not... I don't have data. Like, I don't have number. It's not working signal-wise. I've restarted the phone a few times to see if that would do anything. But I can't really do anything because in order to call support, you have to call from your number. And I don't know how that's going to work if I can't do that. Like, you can't do anything without your number. So it's a very scary experience that something like that, just trying to like get a new phone and activate it, has just rendered my phone number and data that I pay for completely useless. And it's still not fixed. You know, I went to bed, I woke up, still not fixed. You know, I've realized you can text their support thingy, and I texted a guy for like about 40 minutes trying to get to the bottom of it, and he wasn't very helpful. He asked a bunch of things that, like, I don't know, it just didn't really seem like he was listening. Didn't really seem like I was getting anywhere with him. What I think they do, I don't know why I didn't realize this sooner, is I think a lot of these text people, they just consult like an AI, and that tells them what to do. Because the stuff he was doing like didn't really add up with what I was saying. And so I think they just have a lot of people that don't really know what they're doing, and they're just consulting an AI basically. And they can do some stuff, but none of the stuff he was like, it wasn't helpful to me. So I think a worst case scenario is I'm probably just going to have to stop by this like actual location or something. But even that, I mean, there's still some anxiety about that because I don't know what they're really going to be able to do. It's kind of like a really odd situation. I don't know how I could just lose my number access like that, right? It just seems so strange to me. I mean, really. So it has been very stressful because I've never encountered that before where I just lost my phone number and or data that I pay for. And I don't even know, like I'm like speechless that that's able to happen and that's like allowed. I don't know now. Of course, I did order the phone from eBay, but it was from a reputable seller who was selling multiple of them and has, you know, a store. It wasn't just like a one-off individual. And it was locked, but it was saying it would work with my network. So I don't really understand what the problem could be. I already messaged the person I bought it from, obviously, immediately. I did that. But still, I mean, the whole situation just doesn't make any sense. I don't really know who's at fault. But like I said, I think I'm going to have to... I don't know. I think I should be given some kind of a pretty substantial gift card or something. But of course, I don't know that they're really going to do that. But I just can't believe what systems they have. Like, I'm assuming it triggered some kind of a security issue. Like, let's say the phone I got. But then it still doesn't really make sense because, like, it let me activate it. And if it was locked, why would it do that? Like, why would the activation have even started if it wasn't going to work? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just so, like, confused about that. I think that's, like, the thing that I was, like, really, again, just, like, confused about. Because it doesn't make any sense, you know? Like, they claimed that there's like this issue and this whole issue pops up, but it's after they had let me start the activation, right? So why are we like, I just don't understand what could really be the problem, other than, again, let's say the person I bought it from, it was like accidentally not supposed to work with my network, but that doesn't even make any sense either, because they're selling multiple. So they obviously know that it's supposed to work with. It wasn't a one-off. They were selling like 20 of them, like a lot of them. And it was from like a store type of place, you know, it wasn't from a person. So it wouldn't make sense that just mine like wouldn't be working. Like the whole batch would either have to be fouled up and I just don't think that that's the case. But I guess, you know, I'll hear back from the eBay guy eventually and see what he is. I don't know if he's going to have much to say. And then I don't know what I can do, because I can't call Verizon because I can't use my number. I can't believe like something like this is even possible, and it can't get resolved. Like there's no way to actually text people who are able to actually step in and help. Like I said, I think there is, but I think there are a bunch of people who just like use AI or something. Because this guy did not seem to be like helpful at all, and he just like was running me through a bunch of like completely random advice, and I don't think it was very relevant to my particular situation. So it just kind of reminds me of something like a bad quality AI would do. And obviously it begs the question of, you know, if it's like, maybe it's not even a human, but I don't know that I want to say that. I mean, it seemed like it was a human, but just a very dumb human. You know, that's why I don't know. I guess it could have been. I guess it's possible it could be like a fake, like they act like it's a real person, but it's not. I just don't know that that's my assumption. I guess I do believe it was just like a dumb human using AI, but I still think that's so scary that that's even like possible, that you could do something like that, and now I have no number and data access, and I have to go to work. Like I can't stay home and sort this out. It would be nice if I could, but there's no time for that. I have to go to work. You know, even last night, even if I had stayed up and tried to sort it out, that's crazy too. Like I have to go to sleep. And not to mention, I could have been doing like other things with my time this whole time. And it wasn't, you know, it's stressful too. It's not something to deal with that isn't stressful. I feel like it's fairly high stakes getting a phone number sorted. Like I want my phone number to be working while I'm at work. Right? I mean, if it was a weekend, it honestly, I'd probably be chill with it. But it's not. You know what I mean? It's like this is not good. It's very bad to be going into a work day. At least it is Friday, so even if things don't get sorted out now, you know, like I said, I'm going to try to do it on the way home from work, but I have to go a different way to get to the store, so that's going to still be kind of annoying. But who knows? I just don't know what's going on. But it's super stressful. I don't know. I mean, not to mention too, like it's pretty hard to not, I don't know, like not have data, like when you're used to it. It's just weird. But I mean, what's the way to look at it? It probably is all for a reason. I'm probably going to emerge from this a stronger person. It's good in a way to get used to doing these kind of things, I think, because they're really inevitable. And it's just, I don't know. I guess that's, the older you get, you kind of realize that. But this thing in particular is really pushing it. And so that's what I'm mad about. Like, I'm using the phone for now to record the camera, but I don't know if this is just going to be a one-time thing and then the phone has to get sent back. And then now it's right. And then, but I figure I should at least record with it now that I have it, because it doesn't need to be activated to record or anything like that. So I figured I might as well take advantage of the new microphone and new video. I mean, the camera's not, I don't think it's physically better, but the way it does image processing with the software is supposed to be better. So it should be a slightly better quality recording. Another thing I noticed, and I didn't even realize this, Apple does not, well, maybe they do actually. It's probably in settings. Never mind. I was confused. Let me explain. When I was in the camera, I hit HD and it just switched right to 4K, and I thought it would be more tiered where it's like 720p, then 1080p, or something like that. But no, it was just like a quick swap between 720 or 4K. I thought that was a little bit ridiculous, honestly. But I have a feeling I remember in the settings you might be able to toggle something that switches the lower tier HD into like a 1080p lower tier. I that's my guess. I mean, it's just a guess, but I feel like I've dealt with that before, like seen that before. But yeah, I mean, this is life, right? I don't know. It is very crazy that that's possible. Like, I don't think Verizon should be able to do that. I get that they're thinking it's like I don't know. That's like my only guess is it's like some kind of security thing. Like if this is like a stolen phone and let's say like I tried to activate a stolen phone, they'd probably want to just completely shut down my number and my account. But again, the chances this is a stolen phone, I think, are very low. Like, if I really think that's the case, that's kind of strange. Not to mention, I forgot to mention this, like, it was really fast 2-day shipping as well. Like, I don't know why a company would risk expensive shipping for a product that is like fake or like a scam. To me, that doesn't really add up at all. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of these things in life, like, you have to take them as they are and see how things go. I think, there's probably some kind of lesson to be learned, or like I said, maybe I am a bigger, better person emerging after this or something like that. You have to, like, I guess you want to think life's like that. I think it's a nicer way to think. I don't know if it's true, because I think humans try to justify things, try to, sugarcoat. I don't know that that's a bad thing, though, is it? Using the pain of consciousness to try to make consciousness less painful through delusion. I mean, there's a lot of things like that. Is it delusional to be happy? Are we really supposed to be that happy? Is life kind of trash? Right? What is life? Is life good or is life bad? Is our perception what creates it or what destroys it? Because you could make multiple arguments with that. I mean, you could say that life is actually terrible, but humans have a way to interpret and justify things and events that makes it seem better than it is. Or you could say life is actually really good. It's just that we're like spoiled and weird. And that's the problem. I think there's like two angles you can really look at that from. I think it's interesting to think about that. You know? I don't know that I ever really thought about it that way, which is kind of strange, honestly. But I definitely thought about the more positive side of it, which is like, you know, life is great and it's just people that kind of introduce the problems. I always thought about that, but I didn't realize the other way around could also be true, that maybe life is bad in reality, but that we sugarcoat it. And we and other people are able to make something great that really make great out of something that really isn't, you know? Like maybe humans really do that. We exist in a planet that is rough, hard, right? Disorganized, chaotic, but we figure out a way to make the most of that somehow through the little things that we're into. I just can't believe I never thought of the other way of thinking of that. I mean, I always just thought it was like the world was inherently good and it's people's perspective that's flawed. You know, it's just our matter of interpretation. But I just can't believe I never thought of the opposite. I feel like at least with what I've heard, I don't even usually hear that kind of discourse. You obviously hear a lot about like the world's actually good and it's our fault, but I don't think you ever hear the other way around. I mean, I guess you do. It's just not worded that way. Because obviously there's people who are into, you know, positivity and even if something isn't great, just staying positive. Like, there are people who are into that. But, yeah, I don't know that you hear it that way, like the opposite of that. I think a lot of people try to justify, or at least what I had heard when I was into a lot of this, like, deep philosophical stuff was that, you know, like, oh, like when a baby's born, they're innocent, they're good, and it's only through experience that changes people, and like humans are naturally happy and stuff. I think that's somewhat true, but there's obviously arguments to be made against that. Although I guess, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to experiment with something like that, I suppose. Right? Because you'd have to experiment with babies, and that's weird. To try to, like, prove that. Like, are people happy on origin? If somebody is given a perfect life, are they fine? You know what I mean? It's an interesting thing to think about if it just fell on that, but I think it's also genetics, right? And we were just talking about this. There's no way it's just all like your upbringing. Because I'm sure there are some people with different genetic differences that put them, I don't know, less likely to have depression, less likely to have this and that, even if it's in slight ways. Because as far as I am aware of it, most of like the modern depression outbreak is not genetic depression. But what I'm saying is, because of how odd the world that we interact with is, it sort of creates that. That's like what I'm trying to get at. Like if, let's say, you know, if everybody just lived in the wilderness, there would be no problems. But then now in modern society, there are certain problems because you have so much extra stimulation to deal with, which is hard for some people. And people get overstimulated and then they start being introverted as a result of that. Kind of touched on that in my isolation theories video. Then you also have like dopamine sensitivity. I'm sure that there are some humans that it's just easier for them to feel good and feel happy, even with dopamine stimulus. And what I mean by that is there's probably some people who either A, can't really figure out how to boost their dopamine high enough to do any damage, or because boosting dopamine high enough to do damage would obviously be like doing drugs or doing crazy things that leave a, I mean, it's such a high euphoria, but then you have to return to not being there anymore, right? That's like an example of that. But there's probably, even within drugs, even within drug use, there's still probably some kind of genetic variation where somebody could handle them better or would be less likely to become addicted. Because I'm sure that there's some subtle variation from person to person. And some people might be able to do drugs and be fine with it, not be addicted, it's all good. But other people, it may function as their lifeline. This might be their thing, their escape, and not everybody's like that. I don't know that everybody, there are probably a lot of people that just use drugs they just do it for fun, and then, or like as a social thing, like some people go to a bar, but, like there's obviously that saying of like social drinking versus just like drinking in private, right? There's all these like things that are kind of known, and I think a lot of people that keep it social, like you don't really encounter that as much issues. But again, I think those people are probably at a genetic advantage to not be as susceptible to addiction. I don't really think what I'm saying is that revolutionary right now. I guess I'm just like thinking about it because it's kind of I think a bigger issue with people in our generation. But it's not coming from a place of judgment, because again, I think certain people are just very susceptible to fall into those things, and it's not really fair, but it is what it is, right? I don't know. But yeah, that was a nice distraction from my phone pain. But like I said, it's definitely like somber, because I don't know how like excited or happy I can be right now, honestly. I just don't. I'm definitely frustrated. I'm very like I just can't believe, like they should not be allowed to do that if you're a paying customer. Like I said, I mean, all I can think of is it's some kind of like security glitch. I don't even know. I don't know what else it would be, right? What else could it be? It's I don't know why they would do that. And again, if the phone couldn't be activated, how did it let me start the activation? That's what doesn't make any sense. Like I can't wrap my head around that. Like wouldn't when I started the activation it said, "Oh, this phone's locked. This phone's locked. Like you can't activate it." It only said that afterwards. So that's what doesn't make any sense, cuz like afterwards I put in the IMEI just to see, and that's what it said afterwards, but then like, I guess I should have checked the IMEI in advance, but this thing just came up that I could active, so I just did it. But I think, I probably should have done that, but I don't know how much of a difference it would make. Because, again, I think, well, one of my theories as to possibly what happened is I tried to activate it, and it was working, but then they switched up and like decided, oh, like this isn't going to work. So I could have checked it in advance, and then it still would have just like, it would have said it would work, and I would have ran into the same problem. I don't know. But It is what it is. We're here now. Like I said, we need to try to just learn what lesson I'm going through. And hey, I mean, they definitely owe me some monetary compensation. Definitely. So if I do get that, I'm not holding my breath, though. I think they're going to be very reluctant. But I do. I think I should. I just can't believe that something like that could happen, and then they just wouldn't give me anything and just, oh, it was just a glitch, man. Sorry you had no phone service for a day. No, like, I definitely think I deserve, you know, a gift card or something. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it's a wild situation, but what can you do, right? I guess the camera is better. I think it's a little bit noticeable. But I also think the screen's better too, so that could also be, you know, what's making me, yeah, I don't know. But again, the mic seems to be working. I lowered the input gain a lot. I may end up just putting it down straight at 0, honestly, because I'm going to just listen to this one now, because I did lower it like a lot, but it's still a little bit above 0. It's not like dead 0. So, yeah. We are going to be there probably in a few minutes, so it's time to wind down. Sadly, because now I have to face the day phoneless, which is going to be a challenge for sure. A challenge for sure. Although, honestly, I mean, you can probably figure I'm better equipped to handle it than a lot of people. I'm probably going to listen to some of the Car Rides Wit SLA that I still have on my other phone, as well as, I guess, try to listen to this one and see how it compares. But, yeah, I don't know. I think that's what's on the agenda. I guess I'll spend the day just, I don't know, reflecting. It's a moment to breathe, right? It's a moment to breathe. It's all interesting, though, how these things play out. But yeah, I ended up, I think I'm running like a little bit later than usual, just because this morning I'm obviously kind of distracted. I really hope I remembered everything. Very scary, because I'm usually very on top of things, but recently there's just so much to process, and especially on a day like today, right? I think it's a huge deal that I'm even being open about it, because, I mean, maybe there's a healing effect to that too, because when things like this happen to me, I usually like to just keep it quiet, but I'm going to record it and post it, you know, and my struggle is being put out there, which is like, I don't usually do that. You know, it's just kind of hard. I don't want to talk about the negative too much. But I think that is good. I don't know. I think I'm meant to just talk and work through things, but it's definitely not a fun time. But again, I mean, what is there to expect? It's Car Rides Wit SLA is not always going to be just a fun, happy, jolly time, is it? Sometimes it will be winter. You know, to everything there is a season. But anyways, I think it's time for the TLDR Wit SLA. TLDR Wit SLA, today we finally fixed up a lot of the microphone stuff. This could be the first mic episode that's working. We were somber. We were depressed. I'm faking it so hard right now, trying to be hyped for the TLDR Wit SLA. My phone ain't working. I got no service and no number for today, and I'm going to try to get it fixed, but we don't know if it's going to get fixed. And we talked about some very deep existential stuff to do with like drugs or something. I don't really know what I was getting at with that splurged in there. I just think I just made an accidental shift into fourth, but yeah, I don't know what we gonna title that. We gonna title that depressive episodes with SLA. Let's go. Bye, SLA out.